This is a Prince George's County Public Schools NewsBreak.
Turning around schools that aren't doing as well as they should is maybe the toughest, maybe the most controversial, and I would argue some of the most important work in our country today. And we had some very encouraging results come out yesterday from the American Communist Alliance. We talk about these schools that are basically dropout factories. Well, there are 2,000 of those schools, high schools identified in 2002. By 2008, 900 of those schools had come off the list. So unfortunately, some more were added on, but there's been a net reduction. And so for folks who say that schools can't improve or you can't get better, or schools that are struggling, poor communities, students can't graduate, well, they're wrong.
Education Secretary Arne Duncan's strong endorsement of the need to turn around struggling schools and the rewards of making that effort was made recently at a roundtable discussion at the G. James Golson Middle School in Landover. Joined by School Superintendent William Height, the NEA Secretary, and other local officials, parents, and educators, Mr. Duncan listened to what was working at one of Prince George's 4 turnaround schools. Failing schools in the lowest 5% of Maryland schools that are radically changing their staffing, their curricula, and the way they do business.
The co-principalship is a model that's used nationwide. Ms. Robinson and I also had the opportunity all year to plan and prepare for Golson. The co-principalship model allows you the opportunity to have 2 people work at a higher capacity to get your results.
Ms. Cross and I started as new leaders for New Schools resident principals last year, and from the moment that we met through the program, we have been talking about this dream of having a co-principalship. Our vision and our missions, and as well as our work ethic, matched really well.
I've had plenty of students come up to me and say, Ms. Dawkins, did you notice that my picture was in the booth for Scholar of the Month? Did you see me hit that home run? Did you see me score that basketball? Make that shot. So just getting the kids and the staff to realize that we can celebrate all types of victories, not just the A that you got on the test, but I can celebrate the fact that you went from a C to a B. I can celebrate the fact that you didn't have to have any negative phone calls home. So that's what the process of change looks like.
And while the whole enterprise of turning around low-performing schools requires lots of money, and the federal government has committed over $4 billion to such imperiled schools, perhaps the greater challenge is an emotional one.
Secondly, what's been missing, resources are now on the table. What's also been missing is courage. As a country, we haven't taken this on with the courage that we need. And you cannot buy courage. That comes from Dennis, that comes from Lewis, that comes from Dr. Height, having great principals step up and do this work. I want to hear from the parents. Change is hard. There's often lots of resistance to it first. I'm sure in this community, I want to have a really candid conversation. I'm sure a lot of parents maybe didn't want change at this school, that people were sort of comfortable with what was going on. But when it's not working for children can't succeed long-term academically, you have to challenge that. And what I've found is often the parents who are the most upset at first are often the most pleased once they see the progress and transformation, that you have to sort of work through that difficult time with them, because parents have been lied to so many times.
This whole notion of turnaround is not about doing what's popular. It is about doing what matters to increase performance for young people. And as we went throughout the communities to talk about this whole notion of turnaround, individuals were suspicious of why we were making some of these decisions. And at the end of the day, it's because it's not okay that 15% of the population of the school is reading on grade level. It's not okay that 17% or 23% of the students are proficient in math. So this is about doing what will improve the conditions for the young people throughout our schools here in Prince George's County, not just at these 4 turnarounds.
One of the reasons Prince George's Schools was chosen for the Summit on Turnarounds was its history of educational leadership and its reputation of successful collaboration among unions and professional staff.
We were given the assurances that, hey, look, as we move through this process, if we need to make change and adjustments, you'll be at the table to help us with that. And of course, that made that process, I think, workable for us as an organization.
And one of the reasons I wanted to come here is because I believe that everything I've read and heard demonstrates what we believe is an absolute necessity, and that is collaboration. We send out our executive committee members all across this country to visit our priority schools. And the thing that comes back, the greatest success, is when people sit down together. The adults sit down together and decide what is it that we want to do together to change what's happening to the students in our schools.
What's important is it's a work in progress, and the fact that we started with 4 schools, and we're going to look at how this process is going, but these 4 schools required us through the regulations to really have new staff members, have new leadership, and so it was a whole learning change, culture change for how we do work. But what was important is that we're providing now opportunities for young people, opportunities to be exposed to more rigorous coursework, to language, to extended learning, and have the staff be a collaborative member of the decision-making process inside of these turnaround schools.
Secretary Duncan, who has often visited Prince George's schools, offered some final praise for the county's embrace of reform, its spirit of innovation, and its courage.
We're going to follow Prince George's County's progress very closely. We want to be a good partner, and we want to make sure that the children here get a dramatically better education than what they were receiving previously. And visiting some classrooms today, seeing the teachers, seeing the co-principals here who are absolutely dynamic, again, couldn't be more encouraged about the possibilities for children here.
For Channels 96 and 38, this is Dave Zarin reporting.